Yeah. So here we are today talking about what we experience on our awakening and healing journeys. And we're so glad that you're joining us. Perhaps you've watched a few of our videos. Maybe this is the first one. This is a new channel for us, but I'm here. I'm Diane Stako. I'm here with my dear friend Karen. And uh, Karen and I used to work in the corporate world together back in the 1990s, and life happened and we got disconnected and um, moved away from different states. We live in different states now and got reconnected divinely last year and have been having these conversations that we started recording and are bringing them to you and bringing you into these conversations because we didn't have any support when we were going through our healing and awakening journeys. And so we are here just to
Mm.
support you all, as well as build a community of like-minded people, because we didn't have that either. Um, and so maybe you're well on your way into your awakening, healing and awakening journey. Maybe you're just on the cusp of getting into it. And they can look so different.
So different.
And that's really why Karen and I are here today, to share a little bit about our own stories, because she and I have very different stories. And perhaps some of you, obviously, we all have our own stories, and we'd love to hear about yours. Please share in the comments. But we're going to share a little bit today with you, some of our stories and from where we are today and where we came from. Karen,
Thank you.
I'm
Thank you. Yes,
going to pass
different.
it to you.
Yeah, different, right? Different, and nothing wrong with that. If I can open with that, whether you're having this enlightening experience where everything is synchronicities and angel numbers and beautiful energies and amazing. Um, there are other levels of experiences, and I am one of those. I claim that. I claim that my experience was fast, my experience was intense, and um, woke me up quickly. um, just to get into a little bit of, I do not think everybody needs to experience trauma. I want to open with that, to have this like awakening into what is happening in my life, and I need to heal, and how am I going to move forward, and what are all these things happening to me. I was one of those people, and I'm laughing about it now. But yeah, I had very quickly back in 2017, I had a very loud awakening call, and universe kind of came knocking 3 times for me. It was the third one that brought me to my knees, and I experienced a lot of things happening out in my 3D world, but a lot of things happening internally at the same time, answering me to how am I going to move forward and heal some things going on around me. And while I was having that experience, I was having a spiritual awakening, but I didn't even know that's what it was going. I didn't realize that's what was happening. And I found myself on a journey of how am I going to heal myself? How am I going to put my family back together? How are all these things happening around me, which are deeply affecting me, shaking me, and waking me up all along the way, pointing out a lot of things happening in my life that weren't in alignment anymore. And I needed to understand what universe was bringing to me. And I didn't understand I was having an awakening, a spiritual awakening. So I just go back a little bit more. So back in 2017, I had this event happen in my life, which shook me to my core. And in the process of mentally and emotionally needing to experience all of that and feel my way through it, I was having a lot of things coming up in my dreams, a lot of answers coming through in my dreams. I was having a lot of shakeup happening in my dreams. I was learning how to meditate at the same time. and I was exploring my inner world and my team and I had angels coming in around me in my dream space. I didn't understand. Like I would be like, why am I seeing all of these beautiful colors? What do they mean? And that was where my spiritual like journey started. What does this mean? What does this all mean? What are these symbols I'm receiving? What are these lights that I'm receiving? Why do I have spirit animals coming and showing me the answers to what I'm doing? um during these like quick shutting of my eyes, having visions. Why is my clairvoyance opening now? Like, don't I have other things going on in my life? Right. And deeply having to make a decision. Am I going to step into this, or am I going to shut it down and go into more fear? And this isn't how this has happened for me before. This is all new. Or was I going to open? Was I going to seek some help? Was I going to step more further into my journey about understanding what these um, psychic abilities that were opening for me, and like, and why, and how was I supposed to use them? And I had I don't want to use that word. There were some dark moments. There were some dark awakening moments in me. I think at the same time of all these other things going on, I was receiving past lives coming forward. I think I had some mediumship coming in. I know I was hearing messages and not knowing the source. So it was a lot. It was a lot. So that was 2017. Now it's 2024. And I've learned a lot. It took, I did want to say this during my journey of these things happening. When it got the most uncomfortable for me, I did lean into the fact that the right teachers would show up for me at the right time. Diane, you may have that experience also. When you're on your path and you're going through things, you're in surrender. That's a big word. You're in surrender. And the right teachers show up, the right people show up, the right healers show up for you. And then the path starts to open. And then you're kind of like, wow, I didn't know I could do that. I didn't know how powerful I could be. Um, though, that was a little bit of the unfolding of my story. And I'll just end with this. I joke about this often, right? I often say, I think I signed up for a really good one, right? Like there's this like, how did I come into this life? Why did my awakening happen so much later on? Um, how like what purpose did that serve? Where am I going to be in 5 to 10 years from now? Am I going to be still in resistance, or I'm going to be in full surrender? What did each path look like? um, I think that was the exploration that was opened for me, and I stepped into it, and I was in fear. Like, I will admit that. I there were things that brought me a lot of fear. um, Beautifully so. Again, standing here these years later, looking back in reflection, um, those are just all these like points, like these, I almost see it as like points on a line that you kind of have to get to the next one, and then you get to the next one, and things open for you, and you become a little bit more aware of what you have been doing in your previous way of living versus what is now available to me as a potential. Um, and I'm going to stop. I'm going to let Diane talk a little bit about her opening, and then I'm hoping that we can come back and talk a little bit about like the work we're doing now and how
Yeah,
that has served us.
definitely. Before we move on, I just want to ask if you would be willing to share perhaps what some of your fears were.
Oh my gosh, certainly. And and it's funny, I have not spoken. It's kind of a story I haven't really talked about. I would be in the middle of the night, and I would have visions come in that frightened me. I learned very quickly how to call protection in and understand that I was safe. I always was. Um, I had beings, off-planet beings visiting me. I had visions of potentials that were not played out yet. I would be able to see into the future a potential that could happen that scared me. I had a lot of understanding that my journey was a little bit different than the majority of my friends who I was sitting in classes with. I had lot of that dark night of the soul that we always talk about. Mine always seemed different, right? Mine always just seemed a little bit like longer and deeper. I had a lot of I had a lot of spirit animals coming in and communicating with me in my dream space. I would astral travel out of my body in the middle of the night. This was like this was like early on, like, what is happening? Where am I? Why am I like where I not even understanding, not even understanding. How do I want to stay in my body when I sleep? Do I have a choice to stay in my body when I sleep? Understanding I had like my learning process. I have a silver cord. I am connected to my body, starting to travel into the middle world and the underworld and then the upper world. And this is where I started to interact more with my guides. My guides were meeting me in these places and teaching me in these places. And I didn't have a lot of people around me talking about that. Um, yeah, there were a lot of faces that I didn't understand. And what is so funny, not funny at all, but funny now that I think about it, like they used to come up really close. Like they would be right in my face, and I would be like in my dream space thinking to myself, this is crazy. Like I have like these visitors coming in. Um, yeah. I can look at it now and be like, amazing. But when you're in it in the beginning and you don't have the guidance and you don't have the teachers who've come in and like, okay, this is what's happening and this is what's going on.
You do
Fear,
feel like you're crazy,
you do. And fear is part of it, right? And
transcending the fear,
transcending the fear, surrendering past it, and then getting up in the morning and
making
folding
breakfast for
laundry,
your kids.
folding laundry, driving the minivan, like, right? Like it's all there was a level. I will admit there was a level of am I okay? Right? I think maybe that's more that like third dimensional fear. Am I okay? I am not talking to anybody about this. Um, had one or two people that I could reach out to and feel safe, but didn't always have the answers for me. It's just if anybody's hearing this and is kind of like, whoa, I've had some of those really deep experiences and I don't understand and why I had a star being with me or why I had an angelic being with me. And was I safe? Was I okay to explore this? Um, can I surrender to it? Can I surrender to my soul's desire to move forward in my life in a different way? Um, a a lot of unknowns as we step into these journeys.
There are, yeah, and it's that choice. Do we want to remain in fear, or do we
Mm.
want to be brave and courageous and really kind of follow our soul's blueprint as to why we are really here, or stay in the status quo? And for me, uh, I don't even know when my awakening started. Honestly, I had a lot of childhood trauma and was shut down, verbally, like as far as, told I wasn't worthy. And there was, some physical abuse too. And, I did have some nice parts to my childhood, but what was happening behind closed doors, most people weren't aware of. My friends didn't really understand because what they saw looked fine. Um, and I always felt shame around it. And I was just a very quiet person, and not really, never really felt that I fit in anywhere from a very young age. I kind of was following the norms, like, okay, I gotta go to college, even though I just felt this, like, I don't want to go to college. Like, I just, I don't know why. I don't know what I want to do. Why should I go if I don't really know what I want to do? And just there was always a lot of resistance for me in the things that I was being expected to do. Um, and so I did go to college and I was working in the corporate world. I met Karen in a corporate job back in the 1990s. That's how we met. And it was probably in my early 30s after my first child was born that I really started paying attention to my physical self and was experiencing chronic back pain, was experiencing chronic fatigue, and I would chalk it up to, well, I'm tall, I don't have the best posture, or I'm a new mom, of course I'm going to be tired. The brain fog, set in, and I just kept I was getting sick all the time with like pneumonia and these colds, and uh I just thought, well, that's what happens. Like we're people and we get sick but there's almost like this little voice that I kept hearing was saying, no, that's not how it's supposed to be. It's not how it should be. You're here to heal. You can heal and you're here to help others heal. And I would hear that a lot. And I didn't know what that meant. I didn't understand it. I just knew the sicker I got, the worse I was feeling. And I was carrying a lot of stress, juggling working and children. And my husband was working 4 jobs. And um, the stress was accumulating, which ultimately uh, was like the perfect storm where I experienced was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. And it was really then that I really felt like, okay, I need this medication that's going to get me through this health crisis, but I'm here to heal my body and I know that I'm going to feel better. And it started with the journey of yoga. I had been taking yoga classes and I was actually in a yoga teacher training course when I was diagnosed, and also simultaneously getting my massage therapy license because I left the corporate world after my youngest was born and just felt this calling to become some kind of a healer. But I was simultaneously doing the healing work for myself as well as I was learning, and I was also releasing. And I didn't even know back then why until much, much later. But it's, looking back now, 25, 30 years later almost, it is I've just learned so much about how our bodies teach us. Our bodies are here to, our bodies hold on to past traumas, and we're not here to stay stuck in our victimhood. We are here to release, we are here to open, we are here to heal, we are here to awaken to the truth of who we are. And the truth is we are all healers. We are all healers, and we all are so much more powerful than we have any idea. And
Yes.
Karen and we came back together last year after many, many years apart. We both have healing businesses. We work together, we mentor, we offer healing sessions as well as energetic experiences and coaching, awakening, light language activations. And if you are in need of um, wanting assistance, drop a question in the comments. If you have a question, if you need support, if you want to book a session with either one of us or both of us together, we have information about how to connect with us. But we are here to serve, and we want you all to know you're not alone in your healing and awakening journey. There's a purpose for it.
Yes. I totally agree. Yeah.
Anything else?
And I am learning, and as you are learning daily, that in reflection, right? Like, was it scary for me? It was. Was I in total fear? I was. Was I frozen? I was. And I can look back now and understand from a different place that like how perfect that was for me, and who can I help along, who can I serve? Um, is there somebody else out there who has experienced this rapid, right? This rapid awakening very quickly? Have you had trauma that's come up that's shaken you and you're like, what do I do? My family is telling me I need to go do this, but I'm like, this doesn't feel right. Like, all of these things come up for a reason, and not to push it away and not to be in fear, and know that, again, and Diane said it, you are so powerful. And we are here to remember that. We are here to remember that once we are healed and we are healing and awakening, that the next person we can hold the hand out to. That has been my experience of why I went through what I did, just to help the next person, hand out, pull them up, and then we all can just move on better. Yeah.
Right. And that's why we're building a community here. And going through the awakening, Karen's was a little bit quicker. Mine was kind of more just slower and drawn out. And I certainly had many dark nights of the soul, um and felt so much so that I didn't belong here, that
Mm.
I just go outside at night away from, the TV was on, and I couldn't stand the noise of it, or I didn't understand, why did people want to just sit and stare at a TV for hours and hours and hours? And that's what my family did when I was younger. There was no conversation. The TV would go on at dinner time, and we'd all just stare at it and listen to these horrible stories on the news while we're eating our food. So we're ingesting all these bad energies. And so from a very young age, I always thought, like, I I don't belong here. Nothing feels right. I didn't really like being with large groups of people, or going to parties. I always felt uncomfortable um, with the just the surface conversations. And even with my family, my children and my husband, I often have felt that they don't get me. I just feel so out of place. And walking around looking at people in public who are just kind of zombies.
Mm.
They're just asleep. They're asleep. And so that can be, I'm saying this because if you feel that way, or feel like you don't fit in, don't belong, feel disconnected, feel like you don't have hope because you just feel so out of place in your body. Karen and I have been there. We know how
Yes.
that feels. And again, we want you to feel like you belong here, because you do belong here. And doesn't matter what your gender is, it doesn't matter what your age is, it doesn't matter if you are having this crazy awakening that's happening rapidly, or if you feel like you've been slowly being called to living a different way, but not really knowing what that might be. Maybe you're just tired and fed up of the way things are going in your life or in the world, and you feel like there should be something else. Well, it's here, and we're here to guide you. And again, just be here for support
Yeah.
and sharing. And we would love for you all to share.
I was going to mention that we did record a beautiful video where we talked about speaking
Mhm.
as part of our journey. It's called Powerful Throat Chakras. It's in our list.
Put the
A
link in the
lot of
notes for
lot
this
of good
one.
information in that. A lot of good information there too, where we really went into needing to speak and how am I going to speak up on my journey. Yeah. So we're just here expressing and sharing. And um, again, if there's something that you've experienced that this has been like, yes, I recognize that. Leave a comment, reach out where if you have a question, we're here to help with that.
Yeah. And topic suggestions, did you just say that? Maybe you just said that.
No, I don't think I did.
Topic
Always open.
suggestion, always open. Yes, we are always open. And I hope you like this video,
Yeah.
share it, subscribe to our channel, and anything else you want to close with?
You are okay. That's
You
all I
are
have to say.
okay,
You are
and
okay, and you are safe to be here. You're safe to take up space. You're safe to be in your body, and you're safe to have your experiences.
mhm, and we'd love to hear about them. And you are so loved. You are so loved. Yeah.
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you. Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll see you in the next one.